Hello, everybody, and welcome to QuickBooks Labs. We're here actually at the event of QuickBooks Connect 2025. We're actually at the QuickBooks Tips and Tricks stand, and I've got my QB Labs people with me, and also an honorary guest. Now, it's an annual guest, Tom Herbert. So, Tom, first of all, explain to the world who you are and why you're here.
Hi, Aaron. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I am the technology editor for Accounting Web. So I write, broadcast, and edit all things accounting technology.
I love that. I love that. Right, let's go straight into it then, panel. Let's talk about this. So we've had some big announcements on stage. We were here. Got the crowd jumping for joy for some of the announcements there. We're gonna go through this first bit, though. The new term. Power your possible. How do we all feel about power your possible? It seems to be what they want us to live and breathe. Anyone want to talk about it? Go for it.
How you're possible, I think a lot of it is around the AI side of things, looking to see what is available to us, looking what we can use to help our business grow, help us in our day-to-day, give us our time back. Thomas spoke about businesses failing. How can QuickBooks and AI help us go forward?
Yeah, well, it is all about AI, isn't it? I mean, as you say, Lee, you talked about AI, Nick talked about AI, and then we had a whole panel with Richard, Roberta, and Toju talking about AI. I think one of the most interesting things was Richard Susskind saying that AI is not going to change our work dramatically over the next 2 to 5 years. It will help us, and we need to be on top of it. I think one of the key things for me that he said I rather liked was he talked about one of his clients, the CEO of one of his clients, making all of his staff spend 15 minutes a day using AI for something, even something simply mundane like creating an image for a PowerPoint presentation or something, but get used to AI. And I think that's actually really important because there's a lot of accountants out there who look at AI, either don't understand it, don't want to understand it, say they're going to retire before it's in. Have a play with it. Have a play with it at a basic level. Don't use the complex ones. Use a nice simple AI. Have a play with it because that is where it's all going. And maybe we'll go on talk in a minute about where QuickBooks are going with AI because, yeah.
Wasn't it power with prosperity?
Yeah,
before?
I don't know if that's now an internal one and now this is the external one.
Yeah, it's a reiteration of what was there before, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's just a marketing message, isn't it? To say we're here to help the businesses. I mean, there was the stat about the 50% of businesses fail. We've heard that one a lot over, 10 years? And it's still key that one's there. And obviously there's the lockdown. Obviously pre-COVID it was there. Post-COVID was obviously worse. And now it's bringing all those people back together. I think, as Charlie said and Amy said, it's all about AI again today.
Yeah.
Or it is all about AI. I think last year we talked about AI as well. And it's just building on that. So there's a lot of building today rather than bells and whistles.
Yeah, I felt that as well. All right, okay, let's go straight into the product then. So first big announcement of kind of newbies coming. You're going to be happy about this. CIS has had some love. Are we not excited?
I would have clapped straight away if I could. Automatic sending of subcontractor statements when you submit the return. I mean, that last year, the step to actually send them from QuickBooks was massive for me.
Just giving that option to it is
multiple,
multiple,
click. But the ability to automatically send them, great. Right at the bottom corner, amend CIS returns.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah, easy to amend errors and auto resubmit returns to HMRC.
Yes. I don't know about anyone else. My clients will not do their bank feed and will not give us invoices on time to then submit it. So then we're having to faff around with the dates.
Yeah.
Because once you get past the 19th, you can't change it. So the ability to amend within QuickBooks without having to go to HMRC and do it manually, great, amazing, very happy.
And Nick said on stage, this is best in class.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Compared to the other softwares that have got CIS functionality, having those bits make my life so much easier. So yeah, I'm very happy.
And how's the readers think about CIS? Is it a big touch point for them, or?
Well, I think it's that constant arm wrestle, isn't it, between the need to sort of project yourself as this sort of forward-looking AI-powered powerhouse from across the Atlantic to the sort of nitty-gritty issues that actually readers are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And these announcements actually tend to get more cut through with our readers, to be honest, of just like, solve my problems now rather than in 2 or 3 years' time. So yeah, stuff like that's brilliant. That's going to save people a ton
Workflow
of time.
automation, isn't it? And that's, as accountants, that's what we love, right? Like, that's what we love. Even if we don't use CIS on a day-to-day basis, we can appreciate that that's an area that people want to see improvement on.
But it's something that's coming up more and more, I think, as people that not historically would have had software for.
Yeah.
You know, especially with everyone now going, oh, you need to have software. You know, you got a lot of people that are going to come into. We'll talk on ITSA in a bit, but there'll be lots of people that are sole traders or subcontractors or whatever that won't be on software.
Yeah.
So it needed to happen. Whether it's, I will go and after this, I'm going to do some comparisons to see what is what.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be key. Like we do that, I'll be doing that anyway. But I think just to see what is what across that smaller end of the spectrum where ITSA is going to fall into, I think, because that's really going to determine where clients end up going, I think.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. We moved on to, I'm not going to give this much airtime, helping you get paid quicker by AdSum. Shall we just, I felt like it shouldn't have been there, but go on, Charlie.
Since I didn't say anything on CIS, because I know nothing about CIS, I've never done a CIS return in my life, thankfully. AdSum, look, I saw the AdSum advert come up a while ago. I can imagine it has some value for some people. My concern, so I mean, just for people who don't know what it is, this now pops up on the VAT filing page in QuickBooks, that if you've got a VAT refund, there's a link to AdSum, who will pay you within a couple of days. I mean, I assume it's a bit like factoring. I imagine they'll pay you 80, 90% of the sum within a couple of days of you filing a VAT refund claim. I mean, fine, if you've got an unusual refund, you don't normally have refunds, or it's your first VAT return and you are desperately short of cash, I can see some value in it. My concern is that people who have regular VAT reclaims of a few £100 or a few £1,000, put this in, they pay AdSum a fee. I've no idea what their fees are, but they won't be small. And then we'll get paid by AdSum 3 days or a week at most before HMRC pay them back. So I think they need to take that with care, that you really do need it before you pay out a big fee for something you actually don't need.
It's know your audience, right? I don't think we really should have had it on stage. In my opinion, I just feel like it'll be good for certain scenarios and everything else, but as accountants and bookkeepers, we're all very wary of it, let's put it that way.
I mean, I would just very quickly add, I think at the very least, look, they've got to deal with AdSum, that's fine, they're a commercial business, but I think they should have a warning on there or a note on there saying, if you have an accountant, talk to your accountant first. To check that this is going to be useful and valuable for you, and you're not going to get paid too quickly by HMRC anyway. I would just add that caveat.
Ultimately, we'd love a switch on off, right? If we could switch it off and the client never sees it, then...
Yes, potentially we could switch it off for our clients. I don't think they'd ever do that.
No, they wouldn't, but that would be the ultimate.
But I think just the caveat would be enough.
Transforming the new invoice experience. Now, I was really happy that we got to see this for the first time. I've been a big advocate of it. Anyone who's looked at QuickBooks Sole Trader, you already get to have a play with it, see what it's like. Now it's out in the world, we can talk about it properly. Thoughts? Happy? Not happy?
I've been using QuickBooks for a very long time. The old QuickBooks desktop days. I think I started using it in 2003, maybe. And on QuickBooks Desktop, you had enormous customization of invoices. You could add pretty much as many extra fields as you wanted, multiple logos, multiple text fields, all sorts of things. So the fact that they're doing more, I've not had a chance to play around with it in detail yet, but I've seen it before. I've seen a bit more about it today on stage. It does look very good. I think this is a very good advancement.
I mean, we've talked about it, but it's going to be a good thing, right?
It's going to be good. I still think we should have the old word import.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
There is still going to be, especially when you deal with migrations, that's been their invoice layout for the last 15 years, or technically longer. Then you're going, you can't have that layout anymore. And I've been doing this long enough that invoice says I can tell you what software it's come from.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a Sage one. That's a Xero one. That's a QuickBooks one. And there'll be that again. But certain people that's their layout, and I think missing that word bit,
100%.
ability to import your own and map it is still something that's the next step, I think. But this is a right step in that direction, I think.
Yeah.
It's definitely better than what is in product now.
What it's replacing, yeah. And I think there was a solution where you could import a PDF document.
Yeah, correct.
But it died or it went away or we don't know what's happened to it. So I assume it's not in development. Anything you want to talk about the invoice experience or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pleased they seem to be improving it. You know, as anyone who's studied social media over the last few days will have seen, a reaction to a certain competitor's invoice changes haven't been universally well received. So you know, I'm pleased that they seem to be improving this. I mean, I appreciate there were back end issues for this invoicing change I'm talking about, but yeah, I mean, certainly anything that improves the experience, improves the workflow, all good.
Loving that, loving that. Then it's moved to QuickBooks Advanced. Now, did I miss the actual announcement or were they just talking about it? Anyone?
They were just talking about it.
Okay. So there wasn't anything new, right?
There's nothing new. It's more a case of we're going to be doing more with it, which it does, you know, we do a lot with Advanced, or we want to do more with Advanced because there is a gap for that product. I think, you know, we all have those clients that get to Plus and then they go, right, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And typically there's a big jump up to, not a bigger jump as there used to be, but there's a jump from a QBO Plus to, I don't know, like an Accounts IQ or, you know, even back to Sage, not back to, but to Sage 50, because it's still, it's got that functionality that these cloud providers don't have. Or it's a big jump up to the likes of an iPlicit or an Intact or something like that. So there's definitely a spot there where you can stay on, especially because they did drop in a tiny section around enterprise as well.
Yeah.
But not a lot. They just went.
I was expecting a bigger. Yeah. And
obviously they showed on stage, you know, if you're on sole trade, you can go to simple start, which, you know, my thoughts on simple start.
Yeah.
But, you know, as you grow, you go enterprise plus advanced. You don't ever have to leave the Intuit ecosystem. It makes perfect sense. And then as you grow, or if you slow down your operations, you can just flick between across practice. It's a clever move. And there's loads of businesses that are in that at that point, but it's not quite enough to get them to go there.
Yeah. I just wondered, is that the opportunity to sell it a little bit more? We felt like
I think there needs to be more around selling it.
Yeah.
And what are the extra features that are going to make you take that jump that you aren't getting from a third-party application?
100%.
I will just add it. I mean, you're talking about the extra point about selling it. Clearly, they want to sell more copies of Advanced. It's a much more expensive product. I think Advanced is a brilliant product. I mean, for me, the best feature is the spreadsheet integration.
Yeah.
It takes me back many, many years, decades, to when I used Sun Systems, and I had I forgot the name of the software. It was an add-on to Excel that allowed you to interrogate the Sun Systems database. You set the spreadsheet running, went out for lunch, and when you came back, hopefully it had finished. These days, processes are a little faster. But that, for me, is the best feature of Advanced, that you have a permanently linked spreadsheet. You can create a spreadsheet, have one. That's the great feature. But the way they're pushing people, as we've heard recently, the way they're pushing people to Advanced now is limiting.
We'll do a whole podcast on that.
We'll do it separately. Okay.
That's a whole 3 hours on its own.
Okay, we'll do that separately then. But that's.
I mean, it was clever that they did that yesterday, and then today's all positivity. There's a PR spin there, isn't there? So we'll let them have their limelight on that one. Just on actual announcement. So, client ID. I know you were a bit confused about what that was because it was never explained properly, right? Basically, in QBOA, we have the opportunity to put an ID from an external solution into there. I was expecting more from the actual. It was a big, like when it was announced, I was expecting it to do more, but it's there for people like you. It's amazing, right?
Makes perfect sense. Like to do disbursements and stuff like that. It's going to save the poor chap who has to do our disbursements hours.
Yeah, and these are the small wins that make you want to use QuickBooks more, right?
Yeah, definitely. And especially all the other systems, you know, other competitors and third-party systems that have that sort of practice level area have client codes. But QuickBooks were the last ones to sort of come on board with that.
Definitely. All right, let's talk about actual enhancements then. Fixed asset registers are now a part of the whole of QuickBooks.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay out of this one. Amy, you go first. You're an auditor. You love fixed assets, right?
I love a fixed asset register. And they're always in spreadsheets. But you know how much I love a spreadsheet. If it's going to be managed properly and used properly, I have seen where fixed asset registers in other softwares have not been maintained very well. Set up well from the start from a person that knows what they're doing, it's grand.
Yeah.
Cool. Again, it's going to save time doing manual depreciation. I know you could do a recurring journal, but yeah, I think it should have been something that should have gone throughout the whole QuickBooks platform. So I'm glad they are doing it.
So it's great, as we've spoke about it before, it should be on every, maybe from essentials upwards. I don't, simple start probably not, because they don't, you don't have bills and stuff. Has it got all the depreciation methods yet? There's a limiting factor, right? They only did straight line, and I think it still only does straight line.
Yeah.
They need to sort that bit out first before you can then say,
or at least provide that in advance. Like, give us a reason to want to.
well, it should be across all of them, right? No one's just doing straight line.
Yeah, true.
I think that needs to be brought into it pretty soon. If you're going to compare it to other competitors, and not many people use the competitors' fixed asset registers because they're clunky, they don't work properly. If you change something, they error and you have to redo everything. But if they're looking at advanced and then upwards, those systems have decent fixed asset registers that they're going to have to compete against.
Yeah.
And it's a unique selling point.
Yeah.
If it works and it has all those methods. So
yeah, I'll keep my opinion.
I will rant about it.
I haven't looked at it in detail, but I think it's useful. It's great that they've got it, but they need to build in automatic depreciation calculations.
It is that.
You need the facility to choose what's the percentage rate you're doing. Is it straight line or reducing balance?
Yeah.
And the ability to automatically calculate it. And if you then, for example, were to go actually, no, I'm going to reallocate this out of fixed assets and put it to repairs or whatever, then you can recalculate. It's not a journal that's in, then you've got to go manually change it. It should track all of that and automatically recalculate if you need for a period that's not yet been closed. And also then, given that they're doing final accounts and tax returns, the ability to then push those figures through, calculate capital allowances and all the rest of it, it's an obvious win, and surely not difficult. Once you've got the fixed asset register, the rest of this stuff is easy.
And I'll keep my mouth shut. Anything from your end? Is it the other kind of community crying out for feature parity? Was this one of the things they went, I'm only on 0 because it's got fixed assets, or?
No, to be perfectly honest, but I would say it's an interesting direction to travel. We might go on to talk about the FRS 102.1a stuff, but it's a trend, it's a direction of travel, isn't it? I'm not saying that all the big players are seeing a complete commoditization at the very lowest end of the market, but there's a definite sort of upreach there into those more complex businesses, and so being able to offer, I appreciate there are changes to company thresholds that make it easier to sort of move on to there, but also I think the demand to have more stuff under one roof rather than having this grab bag of tools that people are going to be dipping in and out of, as it were, as well. So yeah, I mean, whilst there isn't a specific demand for that, I'd say it is indicative of a wider trend in the industry, as it were.
Makes sense. Yeah, nice one. All right, just so we've covered it, other enhancements were bank connection enhancements and work papers and pro tax getting their love as well. Promise of FRS 102A coming soon. We're kind of expecting it, right? We hope we see an improvement to the product as well. That's what we're hoping for, but we'll see how that goes along. And the bank connection enhancements, I was expecting them to talk about the app integration. Anyone seen it yet?
That we were talking about the other day.
Yeah. I thought that was an announcement today. That's what I thought.
These are the things we stumble upon, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. So Tom might not have seen it. The app integrations where you could connect
Squarespace, eBay, Amazon, PayPal, and there's one more confirmed.
Shopify, I think,
Shopify.
Into the bank, which has just been stealthily added into advanced. No, it was in everything, wasn't it?
It's in everything, yeah.
Stealthily added in, but no
announcement. No talk about it. Like, that would have been an instant win.
I think we've said this before, is that things get put into QuickBooks and there's no big song and dance about it from a marketing perspective. It's, there you go.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not, they probably should shout about things like that.
I mean, it's good for us. We get to announce it as a world exclusive, but it shouldn't be from us, right?
Yeah, we message everyone going, have you got this? Yes. All right, we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
But, from a marketing perspective, if they come out today and went, look,
you're going to love it, because
you're going to love this.
E-commerce is huge at the moment, right?
And we've been banging on about, when they bought Trade Gecko and all that sort of stuff back in the day, that ability disappeared. And we thought when they bought Trade Gecko, we were like, oh, this is going to be amazing. Never happened. This kind of is bits of it, but they've not shouted about it. Yeah. And it's a big shame, really.
And I've played with it both in UK and US. It's absolutely brilliant. There's no point talking about it now because it wasn't announced, right?
There was another announcement, the slide before, which was interesting.
Oh, go on, then. What did I miss? Oh, client console.
That's the one. Client console beta. And I will say, like, it's great that they've announced these things. Can we see them on the stage?
Yeah.
So I think it's basically, obviously, there was Dex Precision that had, you could connect your zeros QuickBooks and you had that oversight. And if you're a single practice with just QBO, or you don't have that insights, and I know the people in blue have their insights dashboard, it makes sense for QBO to follow suit. And then it's in product, because it's one of the things like, and without seeing it, I don't know what data is going to be sourced there.
Yeah.
Is it transaction numbers? Is it turnover? Like, where does it sit? Or is it just a comparative to what the competition have got?
There's no clarity there, is there?
And it'd been good to see what it looks like. I don't know if this is in beta, but I think that's the bit that was missing on the main stage. Was this is what it looks like.
You almost need a go-to breakout room A to see this in more detail, right?
Exactly.
That's what we need.
That's what we need. Yeah.
By far, the bit that I think people were mostly wowed about, because there is a wow factor to it, right? I played with it. I've used it in the US. I've used it in the UK. Part of the beta. I'm doing a talk about it later. I absolutely can't wait to talk about this more. We're still under kind of NDAs in certain bits. But what they have showed, so what we're allowed to talk about, is their ability to use what's called a business feed. So we're going to get their clients going to get insights into what they should do, maybe chase an invoice or two, maybe go through from there. We're also seeing how you can chase invoices, and I believe they explained it. I don't think I'm getting in trouble for this, but the receipt capture is going to be completely rechanged, and now we're going to have it powered by Intuit Assist. This is the exciting thing, and what we've got at the moment is a really interesting area where the competitors are putting AI out there, but not wowing people. They're doing the opposite, right? They're people going, why am I talking to this chatbot when it doesn't give me answers? Intuit are doing it in the way where they want it to be something that's going to come out with an actual wow factor. They're cooking it in the kitchen at the moment. It's getting there. They're adding a bit of sprinkles. They're doing what they're doing. It looks like, fingers crossed, this is going to do enough to wow people, right? Who wants to go first?
With this, it's actually not too difficult at the moment to stand out. I think what accountants and bookkeepers they're crying out for is just a level down. We've had a lot of top level stuff about how it's going to automate your workflows and things like that, but not actually. I think there's the how, isn't it? It's that sort of GCSE English question, to get you from a grade C to a grade A, isn't it? They don't have letters anymore, do they? But the point still stands. It's that analytic thinking. It's like, okay, how is that going to do that? And so even just saying, okay, for agentic AI, for example, okay, we'll have an onboarding agent that'll do all the donkey work of sort of pulling all that data in and completing those, a set of tasks for you and things like that. And they've got, oh, okay, I see how that works now. And that's demystifying some of this artificial intelligence. I think is so important that, rather than just this big terminology facing you down that will make people bury their heads in the sand, to be perfectly honest with you, and just not engage with it. Whereas actually go, oh, that's what it does. Oh, that's not so scary. I do a bunch of that stuff anyway. So I think it's speaking to people on a sort of day-to-day level.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, have you played around with it yet, Sam? I can't remember.
Yeah, we played around with it a bit.
Yeah.
And, the big, was it this time last year, or it might have been the year before, where Intuit Assist was unveiled as a big bang sort of thing. And it's slowly been building on that. I think this first iteration is all about automating workflows. That's what it's doing. It's not trying to change the world. And like Tom's saying, like, accountants don't care about that, but they want this bit. This is going to save me 5 minutes. Yes, great. I can now do something else.
Yeah.
And it's just bringing it down into they've realized we can't do everything with it initially. Let's bring it in line a bit more, I think, into what they've actually listened. They've listened to what accountants and the feedback that was given, I think is key.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to have to wrap up now because I've got people turning up. So I want one word. What was your feedback from the event, from the announcements? Could be more than one word. Go for it.
AI efficiency.
AI efficiency.
It's got to be AI, but I would like to see a bit more detail, a bit more flesh on the bone. But essentially, yeah. I mean, AI is what everybody's talking about in every industry.
Yeah.
Yep, it's the same. I think AI is the talk of the day, isn't it? And there's no surprises at all.
It's not just a buzzword. It's here to stay.
It's here to stay. Yeah.
Just to give you a bit of variation.
Good.
I can't give you one word. I'll give you three. Coherent MCD packages.
Ooh, okay. Now there's a whole topic.
That's a whole topic.
Sorry.
Teasing there. My word, and it's sorry, not one word, but mine is the fact that I'm more surprised at what wasn't announced.
There is that, yes.
There's obviously a reason it's not ready to come out of the kitchen, but There's so much we want to shout about. There's so much we want to talk about. And I know we're a little bit privileged in our position of being able to see betas and all that sort of stuff. But I was expecting some things that I know the accounting community are shouting for.
Yep.
It's cooking at the moment. It's in the kitchen. We just want to have a little sneak peek to get people excited, right?
I think to end, I think, yes, get people excited, but don't then leave it for 3 years afterwards. I think that's the bit you don't want to do.
Yeah, but learn from the mistakes, right?
Learn from the mistakes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tom. Absolute honour to have you on here, as
You're very
always.
welcome.
Sorry it ran over, but thank
Same
you
time next year?
Same time next year. Thank you very much.